Hi everyone, welcome back to What the FinTech, your FinTech Feel Good show. What the FinTech is a news and information platform covering the latest FinTech development in Hong Kong, Singapore, China, and Asia. Join us every week for an engaging conversation with an entrepreneur to discuss about entrepreneurship, customer acquisition, product development, and partnerships. Today we have Kelvin from PONS.ai. Hey, how are you today?
Thank you very much, Medhy, for having me. I'm good.
Yeah, very exciting to see you because I follow what you are doing for a couple of times on LinkedIn. I think like a couple of years, and I see like you have done a lot of good things on generative AI and NFTs as well. So
Mhm.
very excited to discuss with you today.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to sort of talk more about it.
The first question I ask to everyone coming to this podcast every time is like, can you introduce yourself with your own word? So who are you? Where are you from? What have you done before?
Cool. Yeah. So my name is Kelvin Tang. I am the co-founder and CEO of PONS.ai. So what we do is actually generative AI for personalized gifting,
Mhm.
especially generating sort of multimedia content. So the easiest way to think about it is actually we have a P2P side and a B2B2C side. So the P2P side, we're basically building a next generation AI greeting card for remote friends and also for customer relationships. So think of it as the next evolution of those traditional greeting cards that are still selling billions in Western markets. And on the B2B side, we basically help companies like large F&B retail chains to sell more gift cards with AI personalized gift card design. So basically, on holiday seasons, they can now allow users to generate their own user generated gift card designs, but it's on brand also. So basically, it will make gift cards more meaningful, but we are also developing some more new features to basically help them sell more gift cards. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, like the mission of the company is to create a more meaningful world for humanity with creativity and technology. So that's why for our new product direction, we've focused very much on gifting because what we found is actually we want to use generative AI to empower human beings. And I think that actually for generative AI tools that might replace some humans, there will be some adoption challenges. So for us, what we do, we are actually not replacing any humans at all. In fact, it's actually empowering humans to make more personalized sort of greeting and gifting solutions. Yeah.
And what was the origin story of your company? How did you start it? How the idea came into your mind, and what makes you go for this idea?
Right. So I think it has to go all the way back to my own sort of background, to my own origin story. So, I was born in Hong Kong, and at the age of 15, I moved to the UK. And then I basically studied neuroscience at UCL for my bachelor degree. And for my dissertation project, I actually worked on something called neuroaesthetics. So, how our brain perceives and judges aesthetics. So that's quite interesting in terms of sort of an intersection between science and art and also philosophy. And so my supervisor back then, Samir Zeki, he's a big deal in the sort of neurosthetics field. He's actually the founder of it. Would encourage me to read sort of like art, philosophy, and all that kind of stuff. And so that was kind of like the beginning of me kind of bringing everything together. But at the same time, I was actually a musician. So I co-founded a band back then. It's called Pandora. Now, actually, it just won like number one in Hong Kong for a few song for one song. So basically, they're still up and running. But I left around 10 years ago. But they basically got number one on commercial radio 903 and View TV for a recently launched song. So yeah, that's like 10 years in making. But basically, I have a background in terms of neuroscience and also music. So there's the creativity element of that. And we performed more than 100 times. We launched our album on Spotify and iTunes and HMV back when
At the
it was
time, yes.
cool. And I was the one actually doing the digital transformation in the team. And I was like, hey, we got to launch on Spotify and Apple, iTunes, and that kind of stuff because back then it wasn't like a clear thing to do in Hong Kong at least. So yeah, so my background is kind of a little bit weird. So after neuroscience, I actually wanted to go more into business because I had always wanted to go into business.
Mhm.
And I was actually trading stocks back when I was like, I don't know, 18, 19, 20, something like that. But I actually read Warren Buffett's book at 14 or something like that. And so I have always wanted to go into business back then. And so because I never had the opportunity to study business due to several circumstances, I basically, yeah, just went all in into like business. So I wanted to know everything about it. And then, yeah, for my master's, I basically went to the LSE to study
Mhm.
international management. And then I came out basically doing sort of investment banking, consulting, and then joined a tech company. But sort of around 2018, 2019, I basically had an existential crisis of kind of like, what am I doing in my life? Because I have certain visions in my life. Like by the age of 30, I want to be able to do this. 35, I want to be able to do this. And I don't think I was heading in the sort of right direction with my career. And I basically had one North Star. And basically that was to wake up feeling excited about what I do.
Mhm.
And I discovered that actually I went back to all my experiences, and the thing that really makes me excited about what I do and could be net positive to humanity is to combine creativity, innovation, and business.
Okay.
And so that's why I sort of started this company. And then the first product that we launched was actually an art marketplace selling physical art and NFTs for artists from all around the world. And we've helped them sell the physical art and NFTs back then with the AI co-creation element also. So actually, we did a show with Alibaba Entrepreneurs Fund at K11 Museum.
It
Um,
was last year or it was
that was 2022 May.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
So yeah, we helped. In the bull market, we helped some artists actually sell the entire NFT collection within 18 minutes, right? And so that was great because we only took 20% cut. They took 80%. So they like for physical artists, that's a lot. So when they sold physical arts, that's like a large commission for them to get. But even for digital artists, they could basically sort of make a month or two salary within 18 minutes in the bull market. So that was really good. Um, you know, and then basically, so some of our artists back then, they have showcased at M Plus, they have showcased at Christie's and British Museum, that kind of stuff. So they're really recognized artists. And so we are really proud to have worked with them, and we'll continue to work with them. And then basically at the K11 Museum show with Alibaba, we discovered that actually brands also have a need for what we do. And so we did a little experiment back then, which was to use generative AI back in 2022 May, for you to come to the show. You upload a profile picture of yourself, and we turn it into like a Van Gogh Starry Night profile picture of you. So using AI Van Gogh to paint your face and then mint as an NFT with the flow on the Flow blockchain. Um, with a very seamless wallet sort of integration. And that was done within like a minute or two. And so that was a great educational use case. And like 500 people basically created their own AI NFT within 2, 3 days of the thing. So that was quite interesting. And then that attracted some large brands to work with us, basically, like some of the largest banks in Hong Kong, in the world, in fact, and also some NASDAQ listed companies and other brands as well. And so yeah, so that's kind of like how the product evolution happened. But then basically, like with the whole FTX thing and the crypto market, basically, it just seemed to us that there's no immediate market for the NFT sort of mass market or art side of things. And then also for the brands, I think brands are a lot more hesitant in terms of adopting NFT technology. And so what we realized was our team are mostly AI engineers, anyways. And the funny thing was when I did the showcase with Alibaba at K11 Museum, I did a talk on AI NFT. So like the future of AI creating content. And no one cared about AI bit. Everyone cared about the NFT and the metaverse side of things, right? And back then, ChatGPT didn't even launch. And so right after basically sort of like um, FTX blow up,
Yeah.
ChatGPT kind of came to existence, and then kind of the rest of the story is like the whole generative AI race now. It's up and running very quickly, very strongly, and that's why we decided to go all in into generative AI applications. And so we have had a depth and experience working with companies, and also on the consumer side on the generative AI space. And so that's how we kind of evolved to the current space.
So one of the things you showed me last week was with PONS.ai to focus on generative AI for personalized gifting, right?
Mhm.
So my question would be, how does this technology work first, and what make it very unique in the gifting industry?
Yes. So the value prop for our P2P product is to build a faster, better in terms of more personalized and fun experience, and cheaper alternative to the greeting card industry. So in the Western market, at least sort of billions of greeting cards are still getting sent every year. Not so much in Asia, but basically what I wanted to say is greeting or gifting is a universal human trait. And so every human being has a need for this, and different people, different cultures find different ways to satisfy this need. And so around sort of 110 years ago, Hallmark, which is, they sell billion worth of cards every year, was created. And it was innovative back then in terms of creating a premium physical card where it's got a beautiful design as well. And you can send it to your friend via the mail. And that was the correct form factor because the mail can fit into your mailbox, and then there were no other ways of communication. But fast forward 100 years later, now we have this digital revolution, right? The world is significantly more digital and social. So basically, physical greeting cards is, it's still a thing, but it's definitely somewhat declining or just maintaining at a certain static state. Um, you definitely see Gen Z kids or millennials kind of using innovative ways to satisfy this human need of greeting and gifting, which could be, using WhatsApp messages very easily, or do an very creative Instagram story post of that. But okay, so what's next, basically? Because I think over time people will get bored of that experience, and it doesn't quite convey as much meaning and care in that experience. So what we do is actually, our hypothesis is, with the new AI revolution, generative AI, one of the best things is that it can create content very quickly, unique content where you can personalize it to the people. So gifting, I mean, if you look at every gifting big company on their sort of annual report or something like that, they say personalization is the most important thing, but they don't really have the AI capability. And so what we realized, that actually, well, we can kind of flip the coin a little bit. Instead of having static designs designed by people, you can have user generating their own card for you. So let's say were to send you a Christmas card, and if I know you like anime, right, as we
Mhm.
did last week, I can select our AI anime artist to create a card just for you. And then you can basically make it into some sort of content shareable on social as well. So that could be one way that makes it much more engaging for the younger generation, or just anybody, to basically use this AI artist to augment your ability to create a card. So it's a bit like you drawing your card and send it to your friend, but now it's just like an artist level, to a point where it's like you are commissioning an artist, but this is an AI artist, and it can generate three cards for you within 30 seconds, right? And
Mm.
beautiful cards. And then you can put stickers on it, and then you can basically have, you can still handwrite something in real life and take a picture of it and use AI to turn it into a digital form. So that's the card, like um, general card experience. But then we want to also make it much more useful than just a greeting card. So now you can actually attach a voice note to our card. So it's much more meaningful, because when you have a friend remotely, you also want to feel some sort of social connection to it. And so maybe in the future, you can also do a little video call or something like that, or like some or video, like real time video game experience together. And then we also add elements of gamification to this to make it more fun for the users to play. And it's at half the cost of the Hallmark traditional card. So basically, what I'm trying to say is, our hypothesis is that we can use AI personalized multimedia, gamification, and also just social um, and redeemable gifts to kind of revolutionize this traditional greeting card industry. Yeah. But I think also what's interesting is that the card form factor might not be the right form factor for the digital world. So it doesn't have to be a card. We're only launching this new product because it kind of resonates with people who send cards. But it might not be a card, right? So it's just like, kind of like, back then when you used to meet a celebrity, you would ask for a signature.
Yes.
Now you ask for a selfie. So that
Yes.
signature thing, the form factor has totally changed because of the physical and digital world engagement. So that's what we are. That's why we're also exploring different form factors that is truly digital native for Gen Zs, millennials, for humans to really express themselves in a digital way for greeting and gifting.
What I get from what you just shared with us, to create a kind of emotional connection there.
Mhm.
So how do you create that balance between creativity and technology?
Yeah. So I think what generative AI is great is in terms of the speed and quality of generation. So last year when we did that K11 Museum show, I was actually pretty embarrassed by the quality of it. Like some people were okay with it, and some brands actually paid us to kind of do a collaboration. Um, but back then it was we were using the OG generative tool, which was called GAN, generative adversarial networks, before all the sort of large diffusers and LLMs came into existence. But literally a year later, a year and a half later, the quality of generation is just absolutely incredible. And now you could argue, like the cards that we generate is similar to some sort of a semi-professional or professional artist level for a card. And that is just incredible. And so going forward, our card could be even more multimedia, more engaging, maybe some special effects, moving, maybe not in a card form, but in some sort of digitally, socially shareable form. Could be a little game too. So like there are so many different ways that um, this could evolve. But the creativity side is not affected with the technology. Actually, at the end of the day, you still need a human creative mind to prompt that thing or to make the executive decision on whether you want to purchase that or edit that, right? So I think in the short to medium term, like humans still are extremely uh, important in this case in every company. It's just that the productivity of creating creative content is much higher. But then obviously going forward, like we also need to be cognizant of the fact that, if we have autonomous AI agents to make decisions on behalf of you, then it can pretty much do everything on itself too. So that's why, it's important to have these discussions today.
You also mentioned about the B2B to C and companies, right? So I would like to focus a bit more on the boosting gifts that you have done with them.
Mm.
So you mentioned about like you are helping some company to sell and increase the gift card sales, right?
Mhm.
What is the strategy that you have with Spons.ai to achieve this with those companies?
Yeah. So this is a very new space. Actually, we are working with some very large and pioneering F&B retail chains. And actually, we were just in Web Summit in Portugal, and quite a lot of big brands like that in the Western market came straight to us as well, because they are always looking for ways to delight their customers. And what's better than being able to send something truly personal to them and more fun to engage them? So traditionally, it would just be like an email marketing thing, right? Like or like a physical card if it's a VIP and invite you to actual like cocktails and stuff like that. That's great. Physical is still great. But on the digital side, if they want to enhance the level of meaning to more customers, well, ideally, if you're multinational, what you want to do is actually send localized marketing messages, and somehow it's personalized to the customer. So maybe the customer bought XYZ product, and somehow the generated message is only personalized to the person. So they will feel much more delighted and like, wow, you really care about me. Just like for your podcast, you actually put, my company name here. Like I feel much more personal and like, it evokes an emotional response. So yeah, so one of the ways that they're looking at that is actually AI generated multimedia, not just for gift card designs. I mean, it's one area, but it could also be for email marketing. It could be for social media marketing. It could be for a more multimedia referral code and that kind of stuff. Because those referral codes are pretty boring in general. Like, kind of like send this XYZ link.
Mhm.
Like, why would I want to do that? But if I send something truly fun to my friend, and if I know he or she likes this product, maybe there's a better way to engage them. So there are some of the things that we're working on the B2B side.
I know you mentioned about M Plus last year and a couple
Mm.
of your campaign, but do you have like any success stories you can share with us to show like how you impact a company strategy on the long term or on the sales?
So, I mean, given Hong Kong is an international financial center, uh, I think big banks are always on the cutting edge of this in terms of adopting some new technology. So, we were very privileged to work with HSBC last year, for example. And that was actually in July, August time when they saw our AI NFT capability, and they actually sort of adopted us for their retail client VIP dinner thing. And so what basically what that campaign was VIP clients would come, and then they can basically upload some pictures that make them happy, like either their their pet or like a landscape or their own face, and then basically use AI Van Gogh to paint it very beautifully, and then they can mint it as an NFT, so they get that whole experience as a learning experience, and then they also printed out the thing on case to phone cases. So then they can basically go around and showcase to people, hey, like I used AI to kind of created this beautiful picture of my pet, my dog, and then you can also carry the phone case around showcasing HSBC essentially, right? So that was quite an interesting thing that we did with them on the B2B side. So yeah, and we've done a few more of something like this with companies like Checkpoint and other companies as well.
Do you face any challenge in the technology between generative AI and integrating this with art technology, not only for banking but also for e-commerce or other industry? And how did you overcome them?
In terms of challenges, yeah. So I think on the B2B side, it's just in general, you know, we have to get used to a longer sales cycle, for example, right? And you have to have some sort of internal champion to champion your product, and then just have to go through all the hurdles that they have in mind, right? And so the fact that we have worked with some large companies means that we have gone through those processes and our technology is legit and everything. So, but yeah, I think in general, like for me, because I'm quite an impatient person, so I'm just like, yeah, the biggest hurdle is just like going through everything in a in a very legit way, very safe way for the brands, and I have to come up with strategies for them to make sure that it's a very safe campaign. So what we're launching with these companies going forward is basically minimizes the reputational risk or technology risk or all kinds of risk, basically just to make sure that it's a very safe user experience. So we spend a lot of time crafting that experience.
So you mentioned about a lot of collaboration with big brand and industries, right? So can you discuss with us how does this partnership help you to shape your product development?
Yeah, of course. So I think being able to launch a product when it's sort of minimally desirable is the best thing. So no matter if it's P2P or B2B2C or B2C, just get it out to the users as soon as possible because um, you know you want to deliver value to them and you don't want to kind of hypothetically guess what the value is because while it's something to you it may be important, actually from the user's perspective, from the customer's perspective is not the most important thing, for example, or they can actually give you some innovative ideas in terms of how you can take this product forward. And so on a B2B to C side, we basically have to follow this cadence, this rhythm of working with B2B companies, especially in this macro market. Like I think, with a lot of companies reducing their budget and stuff like that, but quite a lot are still interested in us and we're still like moving along with it. So we just have to make sure that happens and then we deliver a campaign and then basically gather data to improve on that. But on the P2P side, I think, we're actually looking to launch our P2P new product on Product Hunt sometime next week. So the best thing is actually get it out to as many people as possible and get the feedback. Because, I don't think, for example, something like Instagram or TikTok, if you were just to like show that to your friend, you're like, your friend might be like, how often do I actually watch a video or like post some photos of me? But when you launch it out to the mass public, then you will find out all of these different use cases. And then once you have a niche that loves your product, then it has a community, and then maybe brands would want to advertise to that community, and it will grow and grow and grow. So that's what we are looking to do in the fastest way possible.
I also saw on your website and your LinkedIn that you have some accolade from NVIDIA and startup Grind Global. What does accolade means to your company?
So personally, I think I don't really care about accolades, to be honest. It's
Mhm.
just a way to. I mean, I'm very grateful to have been selected by them as the top generative AI company in Hong Kong, and Startup Grind Global selected us to showcase there. For me, it's really just a way to get in and kind of enhance the collaboration and actually meet more people for the user feedback, basically. And so, when they selected us, they obviously looked at our technology, looked at our product, and they were impressed. And then and we took on that opportunity. And so for the Startup Grind Global, we were actually showcasing with other top companies in the world. Actually, they gathered in Silicon Valley to showcase to people. So we met, some potential partners, investors, and customers. So that was very insightful. And then for something like Nvidia, they actually invited us to showcase also in mainland in Tencent in Shenzhen. So again, we can actually get to meet some of our potential mainland Chinese customers, partners, or investors. So for me, we are still at the stage of really finding product market fit, to be honest. And so these are things that will allow us to give us the legitimacy to do that more effectively, essentially. But for me, I don't really care about accolades per se.
You mentioned about Silicon Valley. You mentioned about like going to some different events platforms.
Hmm.
I also saw on your LinkedIn you went to CES and to Web Summit. So
Hmm.
how do platforms help you to showcase what you are doing?
Yeah, so got a shout out to Hong Kong Science Park and Hong Kong TDC. So we actually won the Hong Kong TDC Startup Express Award 2022. So that was really useful because they helped us in terms of getting a lot of free media. So that's why you've seen me on LinkedIn or
Mm.
something like that, just because of their help, essentially, like getting us into free exhibitions, and showcasing in Shanghai, Guangzhou, Hong Kong, and like Vietnam, and CES as well. So the CES trip was like mostly subsidized by them as a winner of Startup Express. There we actually met some potential customers and investors also, and we built on that relationship. And what I've heard is that actually this year's cohort of Startup Express winners, they are having a much better experience than we did last year because we gave them feedback. So
Mhm.
that's what we'd love to see to help, make our tiny little contributions to the Hong Kong startup ecosystem. Ideally, as fast as possible. That's something that I'm very passionate about. And for Web Summit, it's really um, a a serendipitous encounter because last year, basically after COVID, well, I mean, like after we opened up, so I went back to the UK because I had spent more than 10 years over there, and then I basically discovered that the largest European tech conference was in Portugal, Lisbon. So I was like, okay, let's apply, let's see. And they were super keen to have us. They basically treated us like a VIP, and we showcased there last year. We actually closed a funding round last year there from Outlier Ventures, so that was actually a great ROI in terms of doing that. And we also met a lot of big brands last year there also, but more on the Web3 side. And so I was also invited to go to one of the exclusive founders gathering. So like some very successful founders have been to that thing as well. But I think at the core of that is really meeting founders from everywhere. So like this year I also went, and basically you get to meet founders from Peru, from America, from Canada, from Australia, from Japan, from Taiwan, from mainland China, from Portugal. Um, and what's great is actually the fact that we as founders, we understand our pain points. We basically want to grow our company and find different markets to grow our company and find that product market fit and find the investors that can help us to do that. And so I might not know much about the Brazilian market or American market, but or Indian market for that matter. And they might say, actually, your product could fit in our market. So these are intelligence that like I wouldn't know except for going to these events. So I know some people say, "Oh, events are sometimes are useless or whatever," but like I think, for example, Web Summit is a really, really good event where you can meet with fellow founders from everywhere, or operators and investors. Literally, 70,000 people from around the world go to Lisbon for that event, and you can have a great night time, night summit experience too. So yeah, those things are really, really good. And this year we showcased there as well, and we have a lot of multinationals coming to us to figure out how they can use generative AI for their own sort of greeting or gifting or customer messaging sort of experience. Yeah.
Very interesting. Very interesting. I would like to ask you some question about the future and the content economy. I saw that you have a network of artists and you reach like 1 million Instagram followers.
They
Um,
have in total 1 million Instagram followers, yeah, around the
eh,
world. Yeah.
Perfect, perfect for this. So my question is like very about this economy. How do you support them with your capabilities?
Yes. So, as a creator myself, like I was a musician, and as a kid, I loved drawing and stuff like that. I understand the pain point. A lot of my friends are artists. They come out of the best art schools, and have to grind basically for maybe 3 to 5 years to get into maybe just a tiny gallery. And then maybe 5 years later, they get into a little bit bigger gallery. If they are really, really fortunate, they have the right network, and if they have the right sort of messaging, the right art skills. And I don't know how many years it would take, probably most of the time, never to get to sort of like the large galleries and auction house level and sell it. And so obviously I think that, for example, Web3 blockchain could be very useful for them in terms of like it's a legit use case putting art on a blockchain where you can have provenance guaranteed. But I think that's more for the case for digital artists, right? So because the digital means of creating art is digital, so you would want the distribution to be on digital too, and you get the provenance, that kind of stuff. So that's why auction houses and galleries still love it, but because of the market sentiment, they don't really promote it. But it's for sure here to stay, right? Digital art. Um, for AI, I think what could be very interesting is that um, AI could be a tool for them to launch something mass market. So the way I think about the art market is basically a bit like the luxury market, where you have this kind of pyramid where in a luxury space you have your one of one catwalk dress, right, by Dior or something, but you still have the belts and wallets, the kind of more mass market stuff. Well, same for an artist where you have one of one art, then you have this 50 edition special prints. Then you have the little keychains or whatever, but only Murakami or Yayoi Kusama can have that kind of
Mm.
power, so that you could launch something like a $50 key ring and people will still buy it, right? So I think for basically the North Star is to help more artists have a more sustainable career. That means get more money from them. So one way is possibly using AI to, you know, if we imagine a future where every artist will have an AI assistant to create a lot of different work. Um, that I mean, this is a bit controversial, by the way, because some artists might not like the art being trained on, or like, oh, is this going to increase the volume of the art, so it's less kind of like it's
Rare.
yeah, it's less rare. So, but what you can do is basically you can have some provenance authenticity guarantee that this physical art is literally one of one, or this digital art is one of one. So it belongs to the like luxury top market one of one. Every artist can do that. But maybe for a brand, let's say you can collaborate with some brands, let's say Adidas or something, and you can use AI to create some mass market content for everybody. So I want to mention, I don't want to mention specific names, but let's say there's a really popular Hong Kong artist. A lot of people follow her on Instagram. She has like 1 million followers. A lot of people would like to have some sort of her art, let's say,
Mhm.
but they cannot afford it because one art is like 20K or 50K or something like that. Or even the prints are too expensive, like thousands of dollars. Like, again, Hong Kong, we need to do better in terms of supporting artists, I think. Like the Western market, like in Europe, in UK, France, people are very willing to patronize, like buy young artists' art. But we don't really have this culture yet here. It's growing. But basically, like imagine I as a normal follower of of this artist, I might want my profile picture to be painted by her. She's obviously not gonna do it physically, but let's say her AI can do it with $10, right? So that she might open up a large mass market area where maybe 10% of her follower base, so 1 million, so 100,000, are willing to pay 10 Hong Kong dollars to create like my profile picture in her art style. So these are things that don't exist right now, but I think it could be very interesting. But then, so basically, in that regard, so the artist would actually make 1 million Hong Kong dollars just from her friends. But before she couldn't do that. And basically, these profile pictures, if you want, you can put it on as an NFT, so you can guarantee the provenance is actually made by this artist, endorsed by this artist, right? But yeah, so I mean, this is kind of like the future, but we're like so far ahead right now. So this is something that we would love to do, but then again, um, yeah, I think it's something that we would like to work on.
I will definitely do it for manga. Like if it's One Piece or Jujutsu Kaisen, as I mentioned before to you,
Exactly.
I will.
Imagine like you love One Piece, and the creator of One Piece basically says, you can have an officially endorsed character of you in One Piece, and you pay $100 or something, and the AI One Piece manga creator will draw you. You would probably pay that.
Yeah, especially if you can go to the step, like it's like many steps after this ahead, right? But you can have your short story of One Piece with your character. Imagine this.
Imagine, and yeah, you can fit into like little side quests and stuff like that, and that's all empowered by generative AI. Generating multimedia, text, video. Imagine like you can create your own little side story in One Piece, like just by prompting in 10 years time, like you as an anime character in One Piece. That would be wild.
I still have a lot of questions for you, but we are running out of time. I
Oh,
think we still have 10 minutes ahead of us.
okay,
One of the questions, and you can still take your time, it's totally fine, no worries.
of course.
One of the questions will be mostly about, okay, I have two questions, maybe I can merge them together. One was, can you discuss about any upcoming collaboration between artists and brands that you try to facilitate with PONS.ai? And the second one will be looking ahead. What are the next big steps for Pont AI
Yeah.
in the generative AI space?
Yes. So let's talk about our P2P product first. Well, actually, for P2P and B2B2C, the idea is somewhat similar. So basically, now if you go to app.pons.ai, you can basically send a P2P greeting card. So let's say it's for Christmas, right? Hopefully, this launches before Christmas. You come in here, you basically type your friend's name. I type Medhy. I choose Christmas occasion. And then I choose an AI artist. I know you like anime, so we can select our AI Akira, which is like a anime artist. Then I type whatever I want to delight you. Then I generate the card. I put some stickers on Merry Christmas. There's going to be an AI generated message where I can sort of edit it as well. I can handwrite it as well, and add. And there's going to be an AI recommended Christmas song also. So it's a multimedia experience. Then you can attach some gifts, for example. So for example, I know you like a certain gift, I can attach it. All right. And then you basically have to play a little password game to solve this card and unlock this card. So I can type a little password and I pay basically 188 USD for this, like less than 20 Hong Kong dollars for this, and I send it to you, right? So that's our P2P experience. Well, you could say actually we could collaborate with artists or IPs to not replace, but supplement the card creation flow. So actually, what we're looking at doing is with one of our artists. We're very excited about that. For Chinese New Year, he's looking to send cards. He always sends cards basically during Christmas and Chinese New Year. And what he's looking to do is utilize our technology to reach more of his fans across the world. So he's originally from Hong Kong, but he's based in the UK now. And so he would love to have a more stronger connection with the Hong Kong people. But traditionally, he has to send cards, and like there's a bit of logistics nightmare with that or whatever. But with us, it's just like code, digital, like user interface, so very easy. And so he could actually send it to more people, for example, around the world. So not just Hong Kong. Maybe he has fans in South America or something, whatever. So that's where we will look to help some artists as a tool for them to reach out to their friends and customers or something like that. Um, so that's that. But maybe in the future, where we can also a product, like for example, if I were to send a Christmas card to you, I don't have to use AI to generate. I can use, let's say, if we collaborate with One Piece, then I can select that One Piece Christmas card or something, but so our digital experience and send it to you. So that could be another way to have more fun in this engaging manner with our P2P product. But our P2P product is obviously going to evolve as well. For brands, I think brands have always collaborated with IP. So again, imagine, let's say, this coffee chain that we're working with, they collaborate with One Piece. Then again, maybe I can buy a One Piece gift card to you. But then if it's only static, then it's good, but it's not that interesting. If somehow I can upload a picture of your face and turn you into like that One Piece character and send it to you as that brand's like user generated gift card, that could be quite interesting. So those are the things that we're working on right now. But obviously, it's very like early stage in terms of this whole um, generative AI for brands use case. But we're quite proud to be sort of somewhat pioneering this thing. We're not really copying anybody. We're truly innovating from Hong Kong. So yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much for sharing this with us. As an AI leader here in Hong Kong, and also not just in Hong Kong, but in SES and Web Summit, where do you see the technology going? and the future of it in terms of consumer habits?
Yeah, I think um, it's truly a paradigm shift, I would say. I think generative AI, as I mentioned, in 1 year, it has improved so much. And this acceleration is probably going to accelerate and compound because everyone is innovating on the chip level. So chips are getting better. Everyone is innovating somewhat on the algorithm level. So maybe you can train a better model with less data faster. Then everybody is also innovating on the application level. So so once these companies develop their large language models or large diffusers, then you need to kind of have these startup applications to do the last mile to perfect for a certain niche and offer real value to users. So I think this is going to be accelerated super quickly. And essentially, you can think of anything that you see in terms of marketing ads or movies, short videos, every multimedia content that you encounter, probably in 2, 3 years, will be somewhat AI generated. And so, yeah, it's just going to be so content creation is going to be much easier. Maybe at the beginning the quality is not that great, but you can see how quickly it's improving too. So last year, for example, generating videos was still kind of like super flickery, and now this year some people have solved the flickering uh, problem quite significantly. And so you don't know what's coming like a year or 2 or 3. It's very hard to predict, but what I can bet on is basically because all the capital are kind of going into this space, so it's just going to be really accelerating the change. And so that's why everybody needs to kind of play with AI tools, learn AI like right now. So then you would be able to somewhat um, master it, like as a master. Because yeah, if people, yeah, because I already see it with some younger colleagues of mine or interns or whatever. Previously, I would do a certain task, maybe just manually on Word, and then now use ChatGPT to do it and something like that, or use Midjourney to generate creative design. I was in Silicon Valley meeting with some sort of movie production houses, and they already use Midjourney or other image generation tools to basically do casting. So like for this movie, maybe I create a costume design with AI, then I select some actors and just do little deep fake to see how they look, and then use AI to animate it.
Mhm.
So how does it look? So then, like just I think that's going to be a big trend in terms of yeah content creation, much faster, much easier. Yeah,
Very interesting. Didn't know about this, so it's mind blowing a bit at this site.
yeah.
Yeah. A couple of last questions for you. Where can we learn more about Pons.ai and about you as well? How can people listening this podcast or want to touch a base with you can do it?
Of course. So yeah, we have our website. So it's www.pons.ai. We have our P2P web app on app.pons.ai. So app.pons.ai. I'm on LinkedIn if you want to connect professionally. But I also have my Instagram for some of my casual musings or whatever. Yeah. So
Perfect. Any books or podcasts or articles you would like to recommend, or do you do your own with Pons.ai?
so yeah, I mean, I literally spend every day kind of working or learning. On the weekends, I love listening to podcasts to back to back to back podcasts. Kind of, it's pretty intense. But some of my favorite podcasts, for example, are I love macroeconomics and it's kind of like understanding more about tech and investing and geopolitics and that kind of stuff. So I listen to All In podcast, for example, as a go to every week. And then on the product side, I love something called Lenny's podcast. So that's an excellent podcast also about product building, how to actually go to market and that kind of stuff. And then recently, I've really listened to a very good podcast called Crucible Moments by Sequoia Capital. And so, especially, there's one on Jensen Huang, who is the founder of NVIDIA. And basically, it says it's a overnight success in 30 years, basically. So yeah, he just went through how he went through so many struggles that we don't know about because we all see him. Oh my god, like Nvidia stock going to a trillion. But he has had so many near death experiences, and it was so contrarian also. And and getting into the AI. So first it was the 3D gaming space, and then it's the AI space. Yeah, it's just very very insightful. So I would encourage everybody to listen to that.
I think I saw this interview when he said like he can restart everything with 1 million in the pocket, but he won't do it because he faced so many experiences and it was very difficult to create the empire. Is it this one?
Um, no, I think that's the Acquired podcast, which
Oh,
is also a good podcast. But Crucible Moments is really from the investor, from Sequoia's perspective as a supporter of entrepreneurs. And I mean, like I've listened to so many Jensen Huang's like interviews and stuff like that, but this one really went deep into like the problems and what was the pivotal moment that made him become who he is today. If I can quickly share, because I think it's very inspirational, which was his first chip actually failed. Second chip also failed. He almost died. He had to almost beg Sega, like the customer, to let go of his contracts to get to a correct architecture for a gaming chip. And of course, back then it was what 1995. The PC revolution was coming up, but certainly not 3D gaming. So, but he saw that when computers became better, people would probably play 3D games. But it was back then a $0 billion market. So then again, I mean, I would say, okay, if he probably couldn't raise in Hong Kong back then because it's a $0 billion industry. But then obviously it took off and became very big for the gaming industry. But then when he somewhat plateaued and more competition came in, then he had to find a new area to get into as well. And then serendipitously, he obviously he was already a leader in sort of GPUs and that kind of stuff. And he discovered that a lot of scientists were using, especially AI scientists, were using his GPUs. And for what? Because training neural networks would be much faster and uh, like with his tool, basically with his GPU. And so he basically back then he discovered that AI was going to be the game changer, and that basically launched a kind of AI revolution, especially generative AI now. And so now everybody is kind of like looking for NVIDIA chips, and they cannot supply for everything. But again, 2012 back then, because of AlexNet and all the other scientific advancements, back then it was actually a $0 billion industry too. So basically, he has created arguably $1 trillion industries from $0 billion industries. And that's a very bold and visionary thing.
I will listen to it. Can you share the link with me after this?
100%, of
Perfect.
course. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Any final thoughts you would like to share with anyone listening to this podcast?
Yeah, I mean, just very happy to, share my experience. Again, we're still at a baby stage and we try to do our best every single day. And we try to build the best product that we can. And yeah, hope to be part of the journey with all of you guys. And thank you so much for having me.
It was my pleasure. Thank you very much for coming today.
Merci beaucoup.
Very good.